Hello YouTubers and welcome back to Game Target and my God of War Ascension playthrough, episode 3, which will be once again it will be a short one, shorter than I believe even the last one, maybe a little bit over. But basically this one is quite easy to get and there's not a lot of hints I can really give towards this one, but I will do my best. There are a few unlockables. There's one boss fight at the end of this video, and apart from that, just keep watching through and getting down the locations of the white boxes and red boxes. And apart from that, there's not much else to say about it. Apart from, obviously, you'll see later on, I've kind of changed my element. I've kept it to the ice, Poseidon's ice, because I believe it would have been better to upgrade that for a bit, because, which we'll see in later on, you will see a rage meter move of the Poseidon's ice instead of the Hellfire, Ares fire. And you'll also see some new enemies. Now, what you're coming up to now, I've probably gone past the bit where you've seen the white box and the red boxes and that. But yeah, that is a new enemy, which is a flying enemy, like in the style of some of the ones beforehand. But basically, at the end there'll be a boss fight, and that will be a big version of that, basically. And what you're trying to do in this episode, this section of the game, is get there, which is the Oracle's temple or Tower of Delphi. And basically, you have to do this via 3 big snakes which rotate this pillar that you're standing on right now. And of course, it's our old favourite from God of War 3, the Chimera, which we'll face. And a few hints for this guy. He's not that hard, even though what you're about to see is a complete ultra pwn of me as I'm getting thrown about for a couple minutes. But basically, this enemy is split into 3 parts. Once you've beaten him senseless enough, he will weaken to a point where you can take off his snake tail. Then he will stand up on hind legs and he will use his lion head. And basically this one will have the element of ice mostly. So yeah, as you can see, I'm about to cut off the snake's tail, and there you go. He's stood up on both legs and now he's using a new style of fighting. But basically with a snake, unlike what I was doing, avoid the venom that he spits, avoid the swipe charges he does, and be quick if you do get hit by the venom, because otherwise he will pick you up and throw you. And for this one, pretty simple, even though I'm basically not doing it. As you saw before, I picked up a spear, basically used that against him as well for range attack. But best way to do this bit is to just dodge and attack, very basic movement. And then you have this one, which avoid the range attacks on the goat head and avoid the charges, and that should be easy to kill. But basically, you'll see after this fight what I mean by this whole rotating pillar concept they've done for the big puzzle you have to do here. And you'll also see some very out of place boxes, which I come across because of the fact that I'm so adventurous about these games. No, I just randomly pick a direction and go that way until I find something or find nothing, and either look brilliant or look like an idiot. But yeah, I will talk about more in a bit. Anyway, what you've seen me do there is disarm and take the other shield, the other enemy's stun weapon that you can gain from disarming enemies, which is the shield, which I forgot to mention in my previous videos, which is a really good one for group enemies because you can go straight through the middle of a group of enemies and break them up quite soundly. And yeah, basically I'm now going to show you the rage meter use of the Poseidon's Ice, which is when you grapple on and freeze them like I've just done there, as well as hint at the fact that throughout this section of the game you will find loads and loads of pods. Don't avoid them. Don't avoid them. You think that they're all crack open and thousands of them will attack you. Thousands of these flying bat things will attack you. No, it's only a couple and they're automatic anyway. So I just take down as many as you can, just because they provide you with quite a lot of red orbs, and they provide you with sometimes red, green and blue orbs for magic and health, which are also good just in case you needed that little bit extra health or that little bit extra magic for a later fight, like a boss at the end. Anyway, once you've destroyed these lot, basically continue on. There's not much to hint about how you climb or what you do really. It's quite an enjoyable one though, because there's a lot of skidding across the ice through these massive snakes, and nearer the end there's this really good one which I like. But yeah, obviously I've just shown you just then a red box which has been put there, and you just saw me jump through, try to jump through a random hole to see if there was anything, and I tried to do it again. Basically I'm doing the same thing I always do. I think, oh, there might be something down there, it's a trick, it's a trick! But yeah, but actually it does pay off because of the fact that in a minute, after I've done this quick grapple, I believe there is one actually in this direction. So instead of going right, I go left and up a bit, and there you are. So perseverance does pull through. I found a white box and a red box, which I hope helps because of the fact that you always need it, especially for bosses, because I believe after this box, this level, there's one of the more hardened bosses, as well as much harder puzzles as well, because at the moment there hasn't really been those sort of puzzles in this God of War that have blown your mind. But anyway, what I'm coming up to now is the third out of 4 elements that one appear in not only the story campaign of God of War but also the online. So you had fire from Ares, ice from Poseidon, and now we have lightning from Zeus. And this is one of my favourites. I like Poseidon's Ice quite a bit, and I might upgrade Zeus's lightning a lot. But this one is very devastating when you charge up your rage meter, because you should have noticed by now that when you build up your rage meter, the point of the simultaneous L3, R3 attack, you almost overcharge your powers so that they produce a lot more damage, which you'll see in a minute once I've started it, which will be almost like a massive lightning strike after a strong attack combo. But basically this one is a lot more group devastating attack, because the fact that when you do a like that, like I just did then, the lightning strike that just happened there causes a lot of damage. The combos with the lightning of Zeus does affect enemies quite significantly, and it does affect group enemies because it not only damages them but stuns them for a bit, and it's quite helpful. But anyway, as you can see, it also helps with combos, because now I'm getting a combo of almost up to 160 hits, which is brilliant. But yeah, this level is pretty easy. So this set of elements is pretty easy to sort out, and the fact that upgrading the elements compared to the blades is a lot cheaper as well. But don't stop upgrading the blades, because they are much more helpful to you. You don't want to stick to one element all the time. You want to experiment, because then it's more fun, because of the fact that once you reach levels where you get the magic stuff, there are a lot of variations to it, and it's quite fun to use them. But anyway, once again there's going to be another box set, not in front of me but behind me, which you'll see in a minute, and they are there. And once again it's 2 red boxes and 1 white box, and it's giving me an upgrade to my magic. So obviously Phoenix Feathers upgrades magic, and Gorgonized upgrade health, which I don't really understand how I've never really understood why they chose that way round. Not really sure. Maybe it's because Phoenixes are supposed to be very magical. I don't really know the logic behind Gorgonized, but still cool. Still love it. Still love the game. Anyway. But yeah, once again you've seen me come off the beaten path, because once again I am right about where the boxes are by luck again. But yeah, anyway, and once again an upgrade to health doesn't come without any arguments. But yeah, anyway, I will talk some more about what you are doing in this set of levels, in this set of chapters, because for some reason, like I said before, this game is split into very strange chapters. They don't have it as I thought they would, how I've set up my channels to be split up between various elements and environments. So the first one was in the Fury's Den, second one was in this desolate ruin, and this one is set in this area just before you get into the Tower of Delphi. But anyway, I will talk some more in a bit, because of the fact that you can't really hint much at climbing that doesn't really involve any sort of traps or anything trying to kill you. So yeah, that's what I meant by the 3 snakes puzzle of rotating a pillar. So these giant snakes eventually will be able to turn this wheel up to the top of the spire, which will open the Tower of Delphi for us. But basically, I've now done the second out of 3 snakes that you need for it, and as you saw in that quick action motion bit, that massive bat thing, I'm not really sure what these things are called, that is what we will face at the end, and I'll give you tips on that when it comes up. But basically, this is the final snake that we're on. It's a lot harder this bit because there are a few more challenging fighting bits that we have to do on it, but I'll give you hints about that when it comes up. So This next bit of the level or chapter gets a little bit difficult because of the fact that I believe this is probably the hardest bit of this section of the game, which is where you have to face enemies but also avoid getting trapped between these barriers and being shoved off the snake, because there not only is a big gap in front of us where we can't go, and if we go there we die, but there's also a barrier or drop behind us, which means we'll be knocked off if we basically don't escape in time. But basically, yeah, it's incredibly difficult to do it, and as you just saw there, I was minutes away from sealing my fate, as it were. But basically, you saw me a couple minutes ago switching between Ares Fire and Poseidon's Ice, and that is because I haven't unlocked the special magic ability that you get with Poseidon's Ice, but I have with Ares Fire. So using a combination of elements is a good idea, because the damage that I can do with the Poseidon's Ice is good and it's quite high, but it still hasn't got my magic for it but I do with Ares Fire. And you saw me just do a grapple bit onto the snake again. Now do not wait around for that for long, because unfortunately, which I found out quite horribly, those those hooks that you could latch onto were only for a moment. They do wear out, they open up and you just drop. So you have to be really quick. This is quite a quick think fast sort of moment, because as you can see there, that's going to be one of them as well. But also there's bits like this where you have to be very quick on your feet, otherwise you will fall, and you have to be very quick on how you play the game as well. So you have to be very quick at this point, and it's good. I enjoyed this bit quite a lot because of the fact that it's very dynamic, very varied and changes a lot, and it so reminds me of some of the really cool fight scenes that we all know and love, or some of the bits of the God of War where they've got the most dynamic fighting or chasing scenes, and then really insane, like the chase between the messenger god and Kratos in God of War 3, where you're running across the city of Olympus trying to catch this quick little sod bag. And yeah, basically throughout this bit as well, you'll find that there are stopping points where the snake will just go into a hole and you will not be able to go through, and you will eventually die. So watch out for that. Don't get caught up in fighting in this bit, because there is no point. You will eventually win. You could probably win just by letting them hit you for a couple minutes and escaping just at the last minute, knocking them off the side of the snake, which will be fine. It works. But yeah, basically this is the third and final bit of the snake trio that will unlock the Tower of Delphi, which also means I'm coming up to the boss fight with what you saw earlier as the mother of those massive bat things. And yeah, I still have my shield. That's good. Maybe. Anyway, like I said before, I am coming up to a bit that's blocked off from us, and just at the side there, which you have to look out for these, because if you don't, you are really just not gonna end well. But basically, this next bit, I will basically be reclimbing the spiral tower and facing the boss. Now I'll give a quick hint at what you're supposed to do, and really it's not that hard to defeat this boss. It's probably one of the only easier ones that there is in the game, because after this it gets a little bit more harder, especially with puzzles, especially with bosses as well. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this next bit, this fight scene between me and a giant mother bat, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. But I will be giving you a hint halfway at the start of the boss fight, just to give you an overall view of what you're meant to do. Now really, the main thing to do with this boss fight is avoiding and dodging is probably the best thing to do. This boss has got two sort of fighting styles. It's got one where it's in the air, like our good old friends, the younger giant bats, and one on the floor, like it is right now. Now, when it's flying, the only thing you can really do is sort of quick attacks on it before it strikes, and it strikes with two possibilities. One which it lands and it tries to crush you, or this other one where it swoops across, firing flames from its mouth, which we'll probably see in a minute, like that. But basically, when it's on the ground, all you can basically, the strongest point where you can attack it is when it's on the ground, like so, and basically all you have to do is avoid that scorpion tail, and then when you do get hit, be quick about how you get out of that situation, because it will be just as bad as the basilisk attack. As well as when it's on the ground, avoiding a attack which is really obvious, which is when it flaps its wings and uses wind to push you across the ground, which is quite aggravating to deal with. Now halfway through this, I will chop its wing off, and at that point it will be calling in backup. Now when it does that, really just don't bother with them, leave them until the end of this fight, because you want to use all your attention and all your strength onto this enemy. But yeah, that's the only point and only hints I can really give about this, apart from maybe using the other the backup enemies as almost a fuel for your rage attacks, because then you can use it on this enemy here. But I'd use Ares Fire because of the fact that it is a much more devastating attack, and I don't think you can actually freeze this enemy. Unlike the other ones, you can't actually freeze bosses with Poseidon's Ice Rage Meter move. But yeah. So yes, we are now coming up to the end of my episode 3. Yes, it was episode 3 of my God of War Ascension playthrough. And I will obviously end you with opening the path to the Tower of Delphi. Now, I would basically this next episode will be mostly the puzzle work of the Tower of Delphi, as well as the boss fight. Now this next one is a lot more interesting, and a lot more hints need to be put into it, because one, it gets a whole lot harder than what we've had to face in the previous episodes, and the boss fight is a lot more harder and a lot more dynamic than what we faced before as well. But anyway, I will tell you about that when it comes up in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this video made by Game Target, and I hope you subscribe if you like this video. Follow us on Facebook or Twitter, and I think I may still be trying to sort out a Pinterest account so that you can follow me on Pinterest as well. But I hope you enjoyed the episode I've done now, and I hope to see you for my 4th episode of God of War Ascension playthrough, and ciao once more.